Ross, Rob, just tell me when. Okay, got it. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special school committee meeting that we are having on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Ms. Gunther, roll call vote, please.
John Nunes,
Here.
Mary Waite,
Here.
Kathleen Amaral,
Here.
Shannon Jenkins, Chris Oliver.
Here.
Just so everyone. Yeah, wonderful. Just so everyone is aware, Dr. Jenkins is unfortunately out of town, and due to the bad weather down south has been stranded. So we just wish her safe travels home. Purpose of today's special meeting is to pick the parents to sit on the pupil support service administrator committee, 2 parents, and also on the superintendent's search committee, and to pick chairs for both of those committees. What I'd like to do, if no one has any objections, unless I'm reading something wrong, is we'll start with the per pupil, the pupil support service administrator. As I look at my list, and again, you guys know how I am, I've got 3 names. There's 3 names that's submitted. Am I correct, or am I missing somebody?
I believe that is correct.
I had somebody. I have Christine Matthias. I'm not sure. I apologize. Elisa Simmons and a Kyle Ross. That's who I have who applied. So
I would recommend, if my 2 cents are worth anything, Lisa Simmons as one of the parents. I certainly appreciate her letter of interest.
yeah.
Oh, and I apologize. Somebody came to the door right now, so my dog is gonna go crazy. If I may,
Go ahead.
I certainly recommend, not that I don't recommend Lisa, I'm just in terms of who I'm familiar with, which isn't the be all end all, but Christine Matthias and Kyle Ross are 2 families who are really, I feel, the epitome of like a family school partnership. Not to say Lisa's not, but they both also have indicated an interest to serve in some capacity, potentially on the superintendent search committee as well. So I know they have an interest in either, but I would like to see them both in some capacity on one or the other, because I do think they would both add value. So that's my 2 cents for that.
Okay. Mary?
No, I don't have a strong opinion. I certainly, will defer to your judgment on this one. I don't know, these individual folks, but I, certainly I'm grateful they all expressed interest, and, that in itself speaks volumes. So that their willingness to go through this process. But,
Yeah.
Again, I'll defer to, the other 3 of you.
My 2 cents, as Chris says, for what it's worth. I had, in all seriousness, I had Lisa Simmons and Christine. Those were the 2 that I had.
That is what I had on my list too. But again, again, based on the letters, but I'm certainly happy again
We can't lose either way here, I don't think.
Right.
My sense of the matter. So committee's choice here.
Chris, do you have anything?
No, I
Yeah.
already chimed in at the beginning with
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you
thoughts.
did with
with Lisa, with
Yeah,
Miss
I was-
Ms. Simmons.
Okay.
Oh, Dr. Gifford, you're muted.
Yeah, John, I don't know if you're seeing, Kathleen keeps raising her hand. I don't know if you missed that.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking,
No,
I
I-
apologize. I'm looking, do me a favor. This is Zoom.
I
so
should
this
raise
is-
my hand. I should have used the little raise hand thing. We've got to.
No, no,
go
that's
back
all right.
into that.
Listen, just
COVID time.
do me a favor, just yell if I'm not, because I'm also looking at notes to my left.
That's
so-
okay. And I know we're talking about parents, but I would be remiss if I didn't also mention just one thing that I did notice and I brought up, was that for I don't recall the total number that we wanted on that committee, and there was less sort of interest for that committee than there was for, the superintendent's committee. But two of the secretarial staff from the special ed office indicated an interest in serving. I'm just putting it out there that I know we had discussed sort of having folks from all levels be part of both of these searches, I recall. And I just put it out there that Mandy and Jessica both indicated an interest in serving, and I missed the opportunity to suggest that at our last meeting, and I just put it to the committee for perhaps discussion or consideration that we, Jess fits the box of also being a parent. So I just put that out there. I felt that I needed to do that because it would certainly enrich the committee, the makeup of the committee, if we were to make a decision one way or the other.
Well, for what it's worth, my take on it is with regards to, whatever we're working on tonight, is the names that we were given is where I would like to concentrate on. So if somebody wants to make a motion for one or two of these three parents, I'm willing to go along and see where we go.
Who was the other person? I'm sorry, I already.
That's all right, no problem. We've got Christine Mateus and Lisa Simmons and Kyle Ross.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Christine Mateus and Lisa Simmons to the Pupil Services Administrator Search Committee.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Oliver, a second by Ms. Waite to appoint Christine Mateus and Lisa Simmons and to the Pupil Support Administrator as the parent representatives. Any other discussion? Chair hearing none. Roll call, since we're on Zoom, roll call vote, please, Ms. Gunther.
John Nunes,
Yes.
Mary Waite,
Yes.
Kathleen Amaral,
Yes.
Chris Oliver.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's that one. And again, I think I've said it enough times, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but both of these committees, both this one and the superintendent search, is going to be there's work that's going to be involved, and also you've got to be available. And I hope I said it enough times, and everyone understands that when there's meetings and such, they're going to have to happen. So that's that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am, sir.
Thank you. Any interest in having any further discussion on the email received from Mrs. Vieira?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Nope, no problem. No, thank you. Okay, one of the other thing, we're, like I said, we'll take care of the pupil support service administrator. Looking for a chair and or co-chair for that committee. type of deal. I'm looking, my thought is seeing if Mr. Martin and or Mr. Hayes would be interesting in chairing or co-chairing.
Are you looking for, do we need to vote on this? Is that what you're recommending?
I'm not, do you want to vote on it, or do you just want me to talk to them?
I think I'm just gonna, sorry.
Go
Mary?
ahead, Mary.
Well, I just wanted to interject because I'm thinking back to Shannon's comment, way back when this came up with the superintendent search, and it did seem like something, again, like that she had felt strongly that it was something that we need to discuss as a group and have, consensus on, if we were, reaching out to someone specifically as a chair. So again, I don't have a strong opinion on this, but I'm just, again, in terms of protocol, and thinking back, that, based on that conversation, I think we should probably vote, or at least vote to, to enable, John to then, or Mr. Nunes to reach out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I certainly, that was my intention with the superintendent search committee, but this is a little bit different.
Right.
We appoint this position at the recommendation kind of the superintendent.
Okay.
No. This is this position of the pupil support service administrator is one that we appoint.
I understand, Mr. Nunes. I certainly agree, and I agree that we need to vote. We have to vote on it as a school committee in public session.
Right.
However, I think it would be foolish to not have input from the superintendent of schools.
Oh, all right. Okay. I apologize.
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant.
I see what you're saying, Chris. Okay.
That's all.
Right. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to where we are with the chair or co-chair for the pupil support service administrator. Any thoughts?
Well, I guess,
Mary?
and again, I don't know if it's, but, I would also put out, having Kathleen, take the chair, or co-chair, based on her wealth of experience, certainly she brings that lens, and brings together many parties. So she knows the families, she has the expertise in special education, of course, CPAC. I just, so, again, I don't know if that's something that, Miss Amaral will want to take on, but I certainly would. I think, she's clearly, well-versed in the content and would be an excellent coordinator of the committee. That would be my thinking. So
I would certainly agree with you, Mrs. Waite. If Kathleen or Mrs. Amaral is so inclined, well, to be a co-chair. I actually like the co-chair idea.
me too.
Yeah, I'm again, I'm applicable to any and all discussion here. Kathleen?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would accept that responsibility. I think I would do it justice in terms of
I know you would.
process. Thank you.
So, all right. So do we want to, all right, so do we want to put a co-chair in here? Just as, no disrespect to Kathleen as a backup.
No, I think that's a good, especially when there's so many meetings. I mean, Kathleen, do you have any thoughts looking at, since this would be, you'd be one of the, presumably now one of the, with the vote, co-chairs. Do you have any thoughts, of someone that, whether it's Mr. Martin, Mr. Hayes, or someone that you think would be a good, support in this role?
Well, I do think that either one of the two would be an excellent, perfect, appropriate choice. I wouldn't, I don't feel one way or the other. I think they both equally would. Be good.
Yeah.
All right, so
So I'll just start by, can I make a motion to nominate Kathleen Amaral as one of the two co-chairs for the Pupil Support Administration Search Committee? Sorry
Yes.
about the cat.
yes, you
And we'll
may.
get, okay.
You want a second, Kathleen, you want a second your own, or Chris, or you want? me to?
I will second that, but do we just want to make the motion together? Put in someone else, Mrs. Waite?
Yeah, I don't know, whatever the protocol, I mean, again, I'll defer.
Yeah, no, we can put them both in, that's fine.
Oh, okay,
That's fine.
all right. Well, then, you know, I just, you know, the Smart and Mr. Hayes are both great. I don't have
Yeah.
a strong, so. And I think, again, to, you know, Ms. Amaral's point, we'll do an excellent job, so.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose.
Well, I would ask that
Go ahead,
you,
Chris.
I would ask that you either withdraw your motion or add someone, and I will.
Oh, okay, okay,
I
I'll
will-
make a motion,
add a vote.
to have, Mr. Martin and Kathleen Amaral as, the Pupil Support Administration co-chairs.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we have a motion by Ms. Waite and a second by Mr. Oliver to have Kathleen Amaral and Mr. Mike Martin, high school assistant principal, be the co-chairs of the Pupil Support Service Administrator Search. Any other discussion?
No.
Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Ms. Gunther.
John Nunes,
Yes.
Mary Waite,
Yes,
Kathleen Amaral,
Yes.
Chris Oliver.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Now, for the superintendent's search. If my math is any good, I got 21
mm-hmm,
21 good names.
right,
Okay. Type of deal. Unfortunately, we did get one too late on the 31st, but again, thank you to everyone who applied. So,
right.
all right. I'll open it up.
So
Everybody-
I have,
What was the closing date? I'm sorry.
4 p.m. on January 31st.
Thank you.
okay,
And the one that I have that's late was the email was sent at 6:32. Gotcha,
Okay.
Kathleen.
okay.
Okay, Mary.
Yeah, so I think just as for one of the two, I would like to see Monique Alexander. She, for several reasons. One is, you know, Liz Coria put her up. She was the first letter that we received. She is from DeMello. We have no one else on the committee who represents DeMello. So as a parent from DeMello, she has, I believe, 4 children between the elementary and middle school. You know, we also don't have any diversity on that committee. She's also a woman of color. And I, you know, and to add to that, she also served on a school committee in her previous town in New Hampshire. So she has that lens of being from a different school. And again, I think, you know, just, you know, I don't know her well. She's, you know, for me, she's just an acquaintance, but everything I've seen and, you know, and in her letter and, you know, in her interest and, you know, she has the commitment and the time and again, brings a different lens to the committee. So I'd like to see her be one of the two. For
Okay,
balance.
all right, well, we'll just discuss this for now. Kathleen.
Yeah, like, yeah, you know, it's so hard to pick. We have,
Right.
Yeah.
everyone is qualified, right? So it's sort of I was trying to think of a way of narrowing down my own thinking of how we're going to deliberate on this. Like I said in the previous committee with the Pupil Support Administrator, we had the two parents that indicated interest for both. I think it's very, very important that one of our selections be somebody that has lived experience with the special education system. And for that purpose, I would propose Kyle Ross be on that committee. He and his family have a much experience and they partner really well with their school. And then to Mary's point, I was then thinking, well, we have who was actually recommended by administration. And so we have Lorraine Silva. She was recommended by administration. Monique was recommended. And of course, there are, of the 20 something, there are a good half a dozen or so who I know very well, I think would serve well. And it's not to say the folks I don't know, and many, I don't know everyone, and, and they're all qualified. So I do agree with Mary. I think Monique would be great. But again, I would also like to see the special education lens represented on this committee. I think that's very, very important. And I served that purpose when Dr. Gifford was selected, and I just would like to see that be a thread within this committee, within this committee, as it's important for the special ed director, people support administrator position. So my thought would be, in just a discussion, would be Monique and Kyle Ross.
Okay.
And what is Monique's last name?
Alexander.
Thank you.
Alexander,
Just, thank you.
Alexander. That's what I have.
Thank you.
No problem.
And am I up next?
Yeah, fine, go right ahead, sir.
I certainly, first of all, I think, speaking for myself, and I want to believe on behalf of the committee, the full committee, we certainly, once the request went out publicly in the media, that we certainly got a lot of letters of interest from a number of community members, parents. So just thank you to everyone that submitted a letter in your interest. And there was a lot of, I would say all of them are well written, and it comes certainly some sincerity in all of them. So just a quick thank you. Speaking through the same lens that Mrs. Amaral took, my thought, and obviously we were just discussing this right now, is I agree with on the superintendent search committee, having someone with those types of student needs, a parent. My thoughts, and after reviewing the letter and the knowledge that I have, I'd like to see Ms. Sonia Coe on the committee as someone who has students with needs, as well as someone who 3 students in the Dartmouth Public Schools, and certainly an advocate for her students, and would bring the same type of lens to the search committee, I believe. But certainly, that's just my opinion and my thoughts.
I agree with that.
Excuse me, yeah. Okay, boy, talk about being all over the place, which is fine, which makes it interesting, because I'm looking at, I was looking at Julie Rose Well, who has 2 students in the system, and is a teacher. And the other one, I was tossed between Monique or a lady by the name of Darcy Moran, who has a couple of students in the system also. So those were the kind of the 3 that I was bouncing around. So that's my 2 cents. So go ahead, Chris.
So for Ms. Rose Wells, I did see the email, but I was never forwarded the actual attached letter.
I didn't think she had a letter.
It just says attached was a letter for consideration to be a parent rep on the Dartmouth Superintendent Hiring Committee.
No, I don't. Well, I didn't, Chris, I can't answer that, only because of the fact that I didn't quote unquote print anything out. I just literally, looked at them, wrote the names down, some general information, and actually dropped them into a folder.
No worries.
So I can't answer that for you. Kathleen?
Also, I just wanted to bring up the fact that we're deliberating on names we were given, and one of them does not fit the parent role, but could fit the alumni community role. Christian Silveria, I'm going to mess his name up, who has been quite engaged in this, civic process, and submitted his letter of interest, and not for the parent, but just for us to deliberate on. I would like to see him as part of this committee, as a community member, which we don't have.
Yeah,
We've selected it already.
yeah, we've gone that, unfortunately, we've gone that way, so we're just trying to concentrate on parents at this point in time. So,
Yeah, I certainly, I know that was kind of, I think we actually we replaced the alumni community member with another role, I believe.
yeah, we went,
Just because my thought as well on that, I certainly, I enjoyed reading his email, Mrs. Amaral as well.
yeah,
My thoughts on that were also, alumni community member, and also check off the box of retired Dartmouth school employee would have been Heidi Silver Brooks.
Great.
I mean, because we took out the retired administrator, because that's the one we were looking at, like, somebody in maintenance, custodian, a secretary, food service, etc.
Yeah.
That type of deal. So
Right.
that's where we went with that one. So,
Yeah. Mary's got her hand up, John.
yeah. Mary?
And so I just wanted to revisit, just going piggybacking, because again, I think Darcy and Miss Moran and also Miss Coe, they both bring, just as as we're thinking, Miss Coe is a registered nurse, and Darcy as well. So is I believe she's a nurse practitioner. So again, they do bring the the kind of the medical viewpoint as well as being parents. So again, just to kind of piece that. And I know that Miss Coe, of course, as Chris was mentioning, was very active around the allergy issues as well. So and again, various needs. And she certainly was a strong proponent for over the summer for taking a second look at our plans, or an allergy awareness. So I think that's and again just kind of thinking about our candidates a little bit more, but it does seem that at least like 3 of us had Monique on our list. So maybe we kind of put her at least in one category, or like, I don't know. It's hard to choose, but I'm just, I'm thinking it seems like at least 3 of us were thinking of Monique.
Yeah, I think Mr. News just said shout it out, Kathleen.
Oh, okay. I just wanna, I don't mean to be repetitive, but my understanding was I was asked to reach out to the CPAC community. And I just want to say Christine Matthias, who we've selected for the other committee, and Kyle Ross were the 2 that had the time, committed, and wrote the letters. So
Right.
I just think it's important that we consider that in our selection process.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, so let's do this. If we can, all right, so if everyone is comfortable, I mean, there's 3 of us. If there's 3 of us that are and or 4, who knows, comfortable with Monique Alexander, why don't we put, if somebody makes a motion, we'll put that one.
Okay. I'll make a motion to appoint Monique Alexander to the Superintendent Search Committee.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so we got Mary.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead. Something.
Just for process, and maybe this isn't going to be determined until the committee forms and talks about this, but my experience last time was that we had the committee, we formulated our process within that, and we rated and deliberated and came up with finalists. And at that point, the finalist, and my question is this going to happen, or is this something the committee decides? The finalists were then sort of in a public setting, interviewed for the community to sort of hear from them and also have the opportunity to at least weigh in with us or share their opinion, and so that we could consider that. I just mentioned that, assuming that's going to be the process,
Yeah.
because we have so many, because not everybody can be serving on this committee, there will conceivably at least be an opportunity for the public to weigh in some form before the final choice is selected when this is all said and done. Is
Okay.
that correct? Or is that your thought?
Okay, so see if you can go back to what I mentioned back in the end of October, beginning of November, when we read Dr. Gifford's letter and she officially was retiring type of deal. And I made the comment that this is our decision and our decision only type of deal. We will, it's the search committee is going to go through and screen and bring us 3, maybe 4 good candidates. Again, as I've said before, when we hired Dr. Russell, the committee, couldn't agree on 3. We agreed on 4. So that's how we ended up with 4 with Dr. Russell. We are going to get bombarded. Okay, everybody's going to be calling us and saying, I like Johnny Jones, Susie Smith, Timmy Jones, whomever type of deal. Thank you very much. Yes, they can weigh in with us, but that decision is going to lie with us and only us. Okay, I will, depending how this flows down, that's going to be that night. There is going to be no public comment on the superintendent search, save for the committee.
Okay,
That type
but
of
they
deal.
can reach out to us and share
They
their
can
thoughts.
reach out, they can reach out to us, look, this is my 8th superintendent. So I've gotten, I've had a number of phone calls from people, things of that nature. Thank you very much. I appreciate, and sometimes it gives you something to think about and such. We all have to
Certainly
do,
does.
we all have to do our own due diligence. Okay. I mean, I've been around and I've picked up the phone and called colleagues in different communities and said, hey, Johnny Jones is applying. What can you tell me about him or her? That type of deal. And just go from there. And just so that I have, because again, everybody puts their best foot forward when they're applying, the letters of recommendation and things of that nature. So the answer, the short answer to your question is, yes, we will probably hear from everybody, but the decision is ours and only ours type of deal. Okay. Does that help? Does that answer your question, Kathleen?
No, absolutely. And that's exactly, I just sort of wanted those that are listening to know that even if you didn't write a letter, even if you missed the deadline or you didn't even hear about this because you're just so stuck in the mud in your own lives, there will be an opportunity for you to say, hey, I've known that person, or I know this, or I hope you think this way. And so we take that all in and then we do our due diligence and we each make our own individual.
And as I've always said, being through this a number of times, you roll it, and I don't mean it sarcastically, you roll the dice and, you trust that the search committee is going to bring the right candidates to the school committee for appointment.
Mr. Nunes?
Mr. Oliver.
Thank you. Just really quick, I just wanted to touch upon something you had said, just for the viewing audience, anyone who might be watching this evening or watching the recording, that up until the finalists are announced publicly, this is a completely 100% confidential search while it's at the search committee in executive session.
There is, you're absolutely correct. No one, I mean, with all, in all seriousness, Chris, and again, you and Dr. Jenkins, quote and unquote, which is fine, have a little bit of a heads up because you know who the finalists are going to be. When as I said to Mr. Kiley the last time, put the 3 finalists put all the information in a manila envelope, and they hand it out the night of a school committee meeting when we officially announce who the 3 finalists are, or 4 finalists, however many that committee comes, but everything, as they say, is with the shutters closed.
That's right. And I just bring that up just because, just so everyone's on the same page, that no one's making phone calls until they're announced publicly. And then, and then the process begins as far as at the school committee, the full school committee level.
The only time the full school committee is going to know who the finalists are is when we open those manila envelopes at that school committee meeting.
That's right. Thank
I
you.
mean, we won't know, we don't even know who applies.
Right.
So go from there. I got you, Kathleen.
Is not to go back to the other search committee, but does that go true for the people support?
The SPED will be the same way.
Thank you.
Both committees are the same way. All right, so we have back to 5 minutes ago, which is fine. We have a motion and a second for Monique Alexander. All in favor, roll call vote, please, Ms. Gunther.
John Nunes,
Yes.
Mary Waite,
Yes.
Kathleen Emerald,
Yes.
Chris Oliver.
Yes.
Okay. Kathleen, you talked about Kyle, and I see where you're going. Okay, and I appreciate that, and I, for one, would not have a problem with that. So,
I like I said, I don't want to occupy, but I feel that I feel confident that this is a family who has come to the table and collaborated and partnered with the school.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share their situation, but
no.
but I feel it would be a good choice and in a very having a father and on the committee as well, and just I don't know, to me it checked a few boxes. And I just want to make sure that we have that perspective on the committee.
I got you.
Mhm.
I'm fine with that, Kathleen.
I'm fine with that too.
I
Mhm.
certainly respect your opinion. I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Kyle Ross, to the superintendent search committee.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for, who made the motion? I'm sorry, Chris?
I did.
Chris,
Okay, thank you. Mary seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
John
Ms.
Nunes?
Gunther? Yes.
Mary Waite,
yes.
Kathleen Emerald,
Yes.
Chris Oliver.
Yes.
Okay. That takes care of those two. Thank you very much. And again, seriously, thank you to,
Yes,
and
thank
I
you.
mean this seriously, to everyone who applied. I mean, I think, you've listened to what we've done and what we've gone through to make sure. So it's appreciated. All right, last and certainly but not least, looking for chair or co-chair for the superintendent search.
Mr.
Personally,
Nunes?
my
go ahead.
my 2 cents, I'm looking at Mr. Rossi and Mr. Granfield. But, if they can, between the two of them, split up what has to go on. That's my 2 cents.
Mr. Chair, I would add, my thought in the same vein as the last committee is that someone from the school committee, so we have Shannon, we have Chris, I would like to see in a chair role, someone who has the experience and also the perspective being on the committee and just being very organized and thoughtful. I would propose we had Chris Oliver co-chair on that committee with someone. There are other folks I gotta look, I'm gonna open up my folder. We also had Ms. Paveo, we had Mr. Granfield, Mr.
Shea.
Mr. Shea.
We have Eric Bosworth, that's a teacher, Sandra Chica, I believe, the tech specialist, Mr. Higgins, Mary Lynch, Trudy Santos, a TA at Quinn.
I would,
So,
I mean, we can discuss this, but I would like to see Mr. Oliver and Ms. Paveo as co-chairs to this committee. Personally, if he would accept.
I would like to see, I would go along with that. I think that would be, you know, again, and I'll just say that because, you know, we have the advantage of, you know, now that Ms. Paveo is in central office, but she's, you know, recently been, you know, so obviously as principal of elementary school, but she has a lens of the, you know, now the district-wide lens plus I think it's a, you know, good choice is, you know, if she's willing to take that on. And, you know, Chris, I think you'd be fantastic. So I certainly, and again, and all these folks would, but, you know, I certainly think that that's a good leadership pair. So.
Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I certainly appreciate the thoughts. I'd certainly be happy to serve in that capacity. And I think both Mr. Rossi as well as Mr. Granfield would certainly be good choices as well. But I do agree with my colleagues that I think Mrs. Purveyo at the district level might be a good fit to co-chair the committee.
Okay. So, unless John, did you have anything? I can make a motion, but I'll.
No,
just wait.
because I mean, no disrespect, I'm one vote, that type of deal. I gave you my, you know, 2
Yep.
cents on the matter, and I don't have a problem with Chris and Kathy, you know,
Okay.
the Paveo type of deal, so.
Okay, all right. So I'll make a motion that we appoint Chris Oliver and Miss Catherine Paveo as the co-chairs for the Superintendent Search Committee.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Waite to appoint, a second by Ms. Amaral to appoint Chris Oliver and Kathleen Paveo as co-chairs. On the motion, any other discussion?
No.
All right, roll call vote, please, Ms. Gunther.
John Nunes,
Yes.
Mary Waite,
Yes,
Kathleen Amaral,
Yes,
Chris Oliver.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I
Thank
will
you.
certainly do my due diligence.
There we go.
okay. Well,
Good
well,
luck.
thank you to both, to you, Chris, and to you, Kathleen, for taking on a co-chair in, you know, in this meeting. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it
Jim?
seems like just yesterday, we were down in Dr. Gifford's former district, speaking to her.
Yep, that's it. Mr. Kiley,
Yes, sir.
you had something you wanted to,
I did. I had
Go ahead.
some contact with Mr. Hardy. So he's been under the weather. But he will be attending the February 13th school committee meeting. So, and he will be getting the survey results to us tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll share that with you right away. And if you have any questions on the survey results, if, you know, you can either ask him on the 13th, or we can touch base with him prior to that meeting.
Mhm.
He is hoping to conduct the initial training for the superintendent screening committee. So Mr. Oliver and Mrs. Paveo as chairs, you'll be getting our list, our email list of contacts for that committee. And you can include, I'll include Mr. Hardy with that list. And he's hoping for Monday at 6 or 7 p.m. for the initial training. So that'll be open meeting law, conflict of interest, confidentiality, sort of
Mhm.
screening committee setup meeting.
And this upcoming Monday?
That's right. Monday, the 6th at 6 or 7. He has limited availability next week. He's conducting interviews in another district for superintendent. But he did have Monday So his hope was that we could make that work. And he indicated it could be a combination of in-person or Zoom or something of that nature. So I'll certainly let the chairs work that out with Mr. Hardy.
Just to confirm, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
just to confirm, Mr. Kiley, do these search committee meetings, even this one, need to be posted?
I don't believe so. I mean, it's not a public meeting, so.
Right. We
No,
would,
I don't
we
believe so.
essentially we're immediately in executive session.
Mhm.
That was my thinking, but I just wanted to.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
But they're gonna meet at Bush Street, Mr. Kiley? Just
I
so-
think that would be the intent, but I'll leave that up to Mr. Oliver and Mrs. Paveo to schedule with Jim Hardy. Like I said, he indicated that he would be available to be here. But it could, we have plenty of room for you folks, so we could do it at Bush Street, we could do it somewhere else, whatever works for everybody. And obviously, he did offer the remote option too, if that was necessary for some of the members.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Jim, you all set?
That's it.
Okay. We're good?
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Very good.
Okay,
Chris.
thank you, John. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
Oh, hang on.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
I had reached, just so everyone's aware, I had reached out to Mr. Nunes following the last meeting regarding the administrators that had put in a email or a letter of interest. And I had, after the meeting, I went back and I went through, and the email that the administrators received did not have a date on it as far as a closing date. And I just want to go on the record as saying that Mr. Rick Porter, the principal of Potter Elementary School, I know it was said that he had missed the deadline, but there was no deadline. I know it was spoken about at the school committee meeting. However, in the email itself, the administrators wouldn't have known that. So I didn't want anyone thinking that Mr. Porter, longtime principal and educator, missed the deadline.
Yes.
No, you're
Excellent.
absolutely right, Chris. And I did, I stopped in, and I had every intention, and I stopped in on Wednesday to see Mr. Porter, and I did, convey my apologies. And yeah, it was not, it wasn't an oversight on his part. It's, just the way it unfortunately it happened. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and he's fine, but he, and I told him that, yes, we were going to talk about it. I didn't, again, you brought it up tonight, and that's fine. I had it in the back of my mind for, the 13th, but that's
Okay.
fine too. So no problem.
Okay.
We're good.
Well, thank
He's
you.
good. So,
Thank you.
all right. So motion to adjourn is in order.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Waite,
Second,
second by Ms. Amaral. Roll call vote, please, Ms. Gunther.
John Nunes,
Yes.
Mary Waite,
Yes.
Kathleen Amaral,
yes.
Chris Oliver.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening. Enjoy your
You too.
weekend.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye. Night.
Good night.